And we are up and live. Hello, everyone. Hi, and welcome to the today's webinar. It is my first webinar because I am new to IBPA. I am the Director of Marketing and Programming. My name is Lee Wind, and I'm very excited that today we have Shari Stauch, who is going to share some really, really cool ideas about book marketing, out-of-the-box ideas. And we're going to be doing things a little differently than we've done them in the past here at IBPA. So one of the things is that we're going to make this really interactive. So my goal is that if you think that you can check your emails and, go, I don't know, have a side conversation because you won't miss anything. I hope you're going to miss stuff and you actually won't do those things. I've closed my my mail. I have turned my phone off. So I really want to be here and focused because I'm a writer myself and I want to learn from Shari. So we're going to do this together. One of the things we're going to be doing are polls. So one of the things I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put up a poll, and you'll all have the opportunity to tell us a little bit about you. So it should pop up on your screen. The question says, please tell us a little bit about yourself, and just click on one of the answers. Are you a future publisher? Are you an author publisher? Are you an independent publisher? Or are you a publishing partner? And that poll will be up for 5 minutes, and then I'll share the results. And so let's go over some housekeeping stuff. These are the things you need to know. Your phone lines are muted. If you have questions for Shari, there is a Q&A box that should be probably on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can enter them there, and I'll see them, and I can ask Shari. The idea is not to keep all the questions for the end. If you have a question and it makes sense in the flow of the discussion, because this is really a discussion, then I'll chime in. We may not get to your question till the end. We'll try to get to everybody's question. If for some reason we don't hit your question during it, I'm sure Shari would be kind enough to make sure she gets an answer back to you right after.
She absolutely would.
I just totally co-signed you to that, but you know what? Hey, I kind of have this sense. The recorded session and Shari's slide deck will be available for you. It says tomorrow afternoon. It's my first week here, so I'm going to go for that. But for sure, I will not leave work on Friday until I have sent out to all of you the recording and the slides. Also, like I said, we have polls up. 3 more minutes on our poll. And we also have prizes. Shari, okay, Shari, I don't want to read her introduction out loud because you all read her introduction, you read her background, and that's why you're here at the webinar. But I will say that you have 30 years of experience in book marketing and talking and doing these amazing things. So why don't you tell us about the prizes?
Yes, absolutely. And it's really tricky. I have 30 years of book marketing. I'm only 27, so that's a neat trick, right? No.
You are precocious. That is the definition of precocious.
Now, what I'll do is whoever wins the polls today, so I'll do a one-on-one 1-hour session with each of the 3 winners individually. We do them. We'll both call into a conference call line, and you bring your questions to the table. Whatever it is that you want to talk about or need help with, we call into the conference call line so that I can record the call so you'll have a copy of it for your reference afterwards. And that's it. We'll just have some fun. Yeah.
Sounds great. And then one of the really things I'm very excited about is that we're going to do a live brainstorm finale, which makes it sound like we're going to send off like confetti cannons or something. But rather than do a traditional sort of like Q&A and then sort of peter out at the end, Shari was really, it was her idea, which is a great idea, to do like a brainstorm. So we're all going to get on the chat, and Shari and I will be the audio voice of that, but everyone will have an opportunity to participate and be part of that. And I can see that some people are not seeing the poll. Oh, you found it. Excellent. And we had another suggestion for the audio, for the song to bring us in rather than
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger, Moonlight Serenade. So.
Oh, I might fall right to sleep.
Oh yeah, no Moonlight Serenade. I think we're more enthusiastic than that.
Evo, yeah.
Well, we're so glad you're all here. Thank you for attending. And the next slide is meet our presenter. Oh, there you are. Look, you're on a cell phone. Turn those cell phones off. So Shari, I'm going to transfer the
Okay.
presenter control, and
we're going to do this without a net, right?
We're going to do this without a net. So, you may see Shari's, desktop for a moment. So be kind. Everyone, look away, avert your eyes. And we're making Shari the presenter. And yes, okay.
All right. So now what I need to do is I don't see. Okay. So I have to go up into. I'm on event info, but I need to go to what, participants? No.
You want to go to the top and where it says share. We're next to Event Center at the very top. Share file.
Start. Yep. Share file including video. Whoops. I don't want that. I want.
This is where magic happens, everyone. I think I see it.
You
yep.
can see my full thing, right?
And then play from start.
Are we in action?
We're golden.
All right, super. Okay, gang. So we are going to be very, very informal today. So if you do have a question, don't be afraid to shout it out. Totally fine with me.
Oh wait, Shari, I'm sorry, but the poll finished.
Oh, okay.
Should we share the results?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is kind of cool. So the poll finished, and we have. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you. So of the attendees, 30% are author publishers.
Good.
37% are indie publishers.
Okay.
And then some people chose not to answer, which is totally cool because this is about. This is about you, the attendees, and what makes sense for you. So if you just want to hang out and listen, we are down with that. So now that we know that we are about a little bit more indie publishers, but close to
Yep, absolutely.
Now we can move forward. So thank you, everybody.
That's why I have the coolest job in publishing, because I get to work with authors and publishers. And all of them have so many creative ideas. So look, we all know the things that we need to do as authors, those basic things, solicit reviewers and book clubs and bookstores and getting to all those what we call influencers, and I get that. But then once in a while, we need to just kind of have some fun, and there's lots of ways in publishing that you can brand yourself outside what we call like the normal distribution channel of books, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And look, all of the things that we're going to talk about today, they're proven things because I get them from other authors. We don't come up with every idea ourselves. Lots of times authors help us out with that, and these are just a number of ways that other authors have kind of gotten outside the box, outside your traditional methods of social media and reaching out to influencers to market their books. So before we begin, what is great marketing? This is great marketing. This was actually a billboard outside my own town in Charleston, South Carolina, and it went viral. It's gone everywhere.
It deserved to go viral. It's so funny.
Hilarious. But see, now they haven't offended anybody, but they have a sense of humor about everything. I did have a Canadian in one of my talks ask for a copy of this slide, and he informed me that, and this was pre-election now, that they were building their own wall up there, depending on what the results of the post-election were going to be. But so great marketing, you know, a lot of authors and publishers come to us and say, but okay, I know how to write and I know how to publish a book. I have no idea how to market it. Well, it's not quite true, because when you first wrote that book, whether you knew it or not, consciously or not, you do have an audience in mind. You know a little bit about what kind of reader you're going to appeal to, right? So it's really about now, how do we drill down to find that reader? You know, if you write YA, who you're going to appeal to, or if you write romance, or if you write upmarket fiction. So marketing is kind of all about finding those people. So you're off to a great start by being an author or a publisher. You're already literate. You kind of know what you're doing. You sort of have an audience in mind. Now let's see how we can go after them. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is, and look, these are in completely random order. There is no particular order to them. So some you're going to love, some you're not going to love so much, but we are going to go through a bunch of them today. So pay attention, because you don't want to miss one that you're going to love.
And
So,
Shari, I think
yeah.
I just want to interject that the idea isn't that everyone does all 20 of these.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Some, and I think as we get through this, you'll see that some are totally not going to apply to you. A lot of you aren't going to want to dress up in costume, and that's coming, but some will. So this one, author crowdfunding, this is one of those underestimated methods of getting attention for your book and also establishing pre-orders. A lot of people go, but I don't want to beg friends and family for money. Well, that's not really what it's about. It's establishing a pre-order platform for your book where they can come in and buy in, so that when your book comes out, you can send them a signed copy, get them to review it right away, and all the fun things that go along with getting those review copies of your book out there. For proof, and you know, we thought that this was dying for a while, and so when I go in to update these slides before talks and things, I go looking things up. And this is a newer slide you'll see down in here that's got the, that's from actually Kickstarter. And you can go and see what percentage of projects are being funded and for how much. You can see all the publishing projects on Kickstarter. Just go and take a look at those, because it's going to give you some amazing intel to get one started yourself. And we've had authors ourselves that we've worked with and through some indie publishers raise $10,000, even $20,000 in pre-orders too. And that allows them to establish their marketing, to know if they want to do an offset print run of their book rather than a print on demand. So it gives you options as well. It's a great way to actually kickstart your marketing. So
Shari, I bet it's going to come up later, but a lot of times with those crowdfunding things, people offer sort of incentives so people will do it, like swag or whatever.
Right.
Is that something that you think moves the needle?
And that, and again, it depends on the book and the audience that you're appealing to, and that's why I said go to Kickstarter and look at some of the offers and what they do offer with it. I've had some authors do, you know, with a T-shirt and they're typically scaled in different amounts. So for $75, you get a book and a T-shirt and a packet of seeds or whatever it is, and for $25, you just get the signed book. So you can create options there. But look at what other people are doing, especially the ones that are fully funding and more successful, because there's no better way to learn than by other people who are doing it successfully in that space. Okay.
Nice. Thanks.
So clever cover contests. We love cover contests. One of my small publisher that I work with a lot, I work with a lot of his clients, is Color Books, and they do cover polls for every single one of the covers that they put out there. So you can go check out this link, colorbooks.com/cover polls, and go vote for your own. It's really fun. You start voting for cover polls, and I promise you it makes you want to be a cover designer, because you're like, oh, wow, this is so much fun. But even if you're not doing it through your publisher and you want to do it through yourself, absolutely, if you have a couple of, most people do, have a couple, 3, even 4 cover designs out there, create a poll. I've got a place here where you can create a poll on SurveyMonkey or playbuzz.com. There are lots of widgets that you can create polls through on your website, especially if you're using a WordPress website. Just go searching in your plugins for a poll, visual polls. You want something where you can put up the visual of those different covers. And it's going to give you some feedback both on what people like in terms of the cover, what is more attractive to them. You'll see, if you go to those color polls, you'll see there's typically a clear winner on each of these different cover designs, so that's kind of fun. But at the same time, what you're going to get are some people making comments, and it's going to help you with keywords. They're going to say, oh, I found this one stunning, compelling, attractive, peaceful, whatever. Those are going to give you some hints of to what kind of keywords are driving interest in your book. So be sure to use all the intel that you get from these cover contests. And again, you can use them in all your social media. Put the stuff up everywhere. It's great early buzz for your book, talking about it and giving them a sneak preview. We've had authors actually do entire blog posts. One author that's releasing tomorrow, J.C. Sasser with Gradle Bird, she did an entire post on the different cover iterations and how they got to the final. Fascinating stuff.
It's also fun because it's the flip side of showing your foreign covers, right? If you're fortunate enough to get your book into translation in other territories, that's always fun for the publishers and the authors to be like, here's the one from Germany and here's the one from Japan. So it's
yeah, I show those off all the time because we have one in Russian and one in simple Chinese.
Yeah, so it's sort of a way of doing that, but before you get the ball rolling with just choosing the cover. That's a great idea. I like that one a lot.
It's a great brag, but still it doesn't come off. You know, authors are very afraid to do the look at me thing. So it doesn't come off braggy. It just comes off interesting, you know. And
we're so visually driven as a culture, especially on social media. It's a great tool. Thanks. I like that idea.
And plus and if you're asking them for their opinion, now it's not the look at me, right? You're still showing them the cover and the preview without feeling like you're out there book bragging, okay?
And you're asking their opinion, which also makes them feel engaged.
Exactly, right. So number 3, tag, you're it. So this was from another one of our authors that we met, I think, at a book event, and she was talking about she's actually made herself. She went to Kinko's or Staples, made herself up a laminated name tag that has her name and it says author or author speaker and actually a cover of the book, small cover of the book on the name tag, and she wears it everywhere. So when she's in line at the grocery store, somebody will say, oh, are you an author? Oh, my goodness, I forgot I still had that on, right? It gets the conversation going. Really fun way, keep that name tag on. Talk about great branding, right? And she's showing her book cover and the fact that she's an author to strangers all the time, wherever she goes.
So it's like she just left a conference and she forgot that she had her name tag on.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a white lie, but it works, yeah. Love it.
That's outside the box.
So success by association, and here is where, of course, we're talking with association affiliations. So IBPA is #1, hands down, best organization out there. I'm wholly supportive of all the efforts that you guys are making out there for sure to connect people with each other, the networking things, but also you do a lot of things to connect people to readers, such as, you know, you do the library blasts, you do the appearances at book shows and things. So I have one of our authors is doing a library blast with you right now. Another author, you see her here standing in the IBPA booth just from the recent show this last weekend at Book Expo America. And look at all those books behind her. Those are all different IBPA members that were showing off their book at Book Expo.
280 books were exhibited from IBPA members at Book Expo. And coming up in just a couple of weeks, actually, I think it's 2 weeks, ALA, we're going to have a booth. And in fact, I'm going to be there in Chicago. And I just found out that my cool gig will be that I'll be working with the members that are doing signings, because when you're an IBPA member, you can sign up for a very reasonable amount of money, and I think it's $75 for a half-hour opportunity to be in our booth and sign your books to librarians and give them away and get librarians really excited. So yeah, we're really looking at how can we help authors and author publishers and indie publishers have their books discovered. So by librarians, by booksellers, by reviewers, that's really a lot of what we do and what I'm here to do. So.
Absolutely. So then, and then the other associations that you really want to make close friends with are the bookseller associations. So the American Bookseller Association, they have several different chapters around the country, grouped regionally. So in the Northwest, it's the Pacific Northwest Booksellers Association. I work a lot with I have authors in the Mid-Atlantic group, and then also in the Southeast, which is called SIBA, the Southern Independent Booksellers Association. These booksellers can make an author's book. So you need to be friends with them. In the one case, you'll see on the left-hand side now of this slide, Gretel Bird, that's the book that's releasing tomorrow. She's made a play with the Southern Independent Booksellers Association. She'll be at their show. She was named an Okra pick, which means that they pick 12 books every quarter. The Booksellers Association does, that they have their booksellers hand sell, and she was chosen as one of those. So it was a big honor, big deal. And then she's also involved, you'll see the center slide, she'll be involved next year in the 2018. They do a trio as well, SIBA does, where they take special books and they pair them with artists, both visual artists and musical artists, and they put a museum quality exhibit around that moves from bookstore to bookstore around the Southeast. So there's lots of ways that you can get involved with your local groups to your benefit. So IBPA definitely, and your local booksellers association. Two big plays to make, and few authors even think about doing it. While we're on the subject of associations, if you're speaking and signing and things, one thing that I automatically bring up to people as influencers, but it plays into this, is make sure that you're listed with your local humanities council. Every single state has a humanities council, and there's typically a place to list yourself there as either an author or a speaker. Take advantage of that.
Cool. And those are editorial choices that the Booksellers Association are making.
Yeah, the booksellers pick. They can nominate books that they want, and then they pick from those the 12 that they want to what's called hand sell for that quarter, and that's the books that they're telling people about as they walk into the store. That also gives those particular authors the leg up when it comes to book signings. So
that's great.
In the case of the Gretel Bird author, because she was named an Okra pick, very, very quickly she was able to set up over 30 book signings that start kicking off tomorrow. She is one busy woman. Yeah, and that all happened through her association. Yeah.
Nice.
So now we're not going to talk a lot about social media today, but I am going to talk about Pinterest just as an outside-the-box thing, because a lot of folks, they know Pinterest is important. They know it gets a lot of traffic. Nobody wants to go down the rabbit hole, but there are some outside-the-box ways to do it. And so what we're talking about here is what authors pin. And my favorite thing to do with authors who don't have a lot of visual content, because I get it. You know, I was one of these people that unless you wrote a cookbook or a children's book, why would you be on Pinterest? Why would I be on Pinterest? And so I was very randomly on Pinterest. I would post pictures from our blog posts, and that's about it. And hardly ever on there, still hardly ever on there. But lo and behold, we get more traffic coming to us from Pinterest than Facebook and Twitter combined, which tells us that authors need to be there as well, okay? So in the case of the author that you're seeing the slides of here, she writes literary fiction, not a lot of visuals, right, except in the writing itself, but a lot of her book took place in and around real-life places in New Orleans. So she went down and took some photos herself, found other photos already on Pinterest, and created a board just of scenes from her book, and within each scene, there's a quote from that spot in the book, and then it leads people back to her site. So again, it started as an outside-the-box thing. We now have a lot of authors doing it, so it's a lot of fun. You can also put up, you know, bookstores that you're signing at. Even, you know, have some fun. Make a wish list. Bookstores you wish you were signing at. That's going to get back to that bookstore. You make sure and tag them in there, and then maybe that creates a possibility for you as well.
Aspirational. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So bookmarks and postcards, not completely outside the box, but how you use them is. Make sure that you put a QR code on your bookmark, which if you don't know what a QR code is, it's that funky little thing that you can build for free. Just look up Google free QR codes, and you put in the link, and it gives you one of those little square barcode thingies, and you can use that in your print materials. That'll bring people whatever link you want to bring them back to. So whether you're trying to drive them to your site, or direct to your Amazon buy page, or your your Barnes & Noble buy page, wherever you want them to go. So use those. Also work with booksellers if you are a bookstore play. work with booksellers to create promo cards for their customers. A lot of them won't even think about it, but if you say, look, you know, I have this promo card and I'd love to tell people about my upcoming event at your store, they'll give you their list, or they'll send them for you to their list, and it's a chance to expand your readership. They're going to want you pitching your own list as well, but keep that in mind. There's a lot of co-opting opportunities there that you can do.
Shari, just a quick query. If you're an indie publisher and you have a big slate of books, or if you're an author publisher and you have more than one book that you have out in the world,
right,
do you recommend that the QR code take people directly to the drill down site for that title, or is it better to just send them to the books page on the website?
Well, typically, I mean, typically to your readership and even to your bookseller, you're going to be pitching a particular book.
A title.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you're a publisher with 50 titles, it's probably a specific book that you're going to be marketing.
Right.
If you're marketing your, you know, people don't go to bookstores to find publishers, right? They go to find books. So keep that in mind.
Very true. Great. Thank you.
Sure. So remember book plates? Now they're coming back into vogue. Now, we all had these when we were kids. You know, this book belongs to, and you would scrawl your name in if it were your own book that you just got from the bookstore. But book plates are basically a self-stick. Back in the day, you used to have to lick them and stick them on, but now they're like a self-stick thing that go right inside your book. So Heidi Giroux, who was a Barbara Kingsolver award-winning author, won the Bellwether Prize for her book, The Girl Who Fell from the Sky, wanted to make sure, she was doing a lot of signings, and a lot of people were saying to her, gosh, you know, I'm in that town, I wish I could make the signing, but I just can't. She said, well, here's what you do. If you send me, just scan, take a photo, whatever, of the receipt that you've bought the book, I will send you for free a signed book plate that you can put in your book so that you have a signed copy, which is a really cool thing to do. It also kind of called their bluff, you know, so that they would either come out to the signing, or she would know that people were buying her book, and she was happy to spend, you know, pennies a piece on the book plates themselves and the cost of a stamp to send them to her readers. And by doing that, made her readers very loyal, happy readers. She would also send them a bookmark, and those things would get passed along. It got her a lot of book club plays, a lot of book club appointments and things too. So very, very useful tool. And then if you don't have a physical book, if you're testing a book out in the market, you know, and just doing the digital ebook option, there is actually an online site called Authorgraph where you can load up your signature and things and give people a digital signature to your book, which is kind of fun. I have some signed that way, by the way. So sophisticated samples. We're moving a little bit kind of into the collateral space now. So there's a couple different companies doing this. One I just met at Book Expo called Bookshout. They gave me a bunch of their free cards. I downloaded a bunch of their free books. I'm reading them on their apps. It's tons of fun. And they do these laminated cards for authors. So how do you use them? Well, you don't have to put your entire book on them, though you can. So say you want to hand your book to a bookstore, but you don't want to print a bunch of books at however much a piece that costs you. You can give them a card. It's a clever little, looks like a little credit card, laminated card that has an individualized code on them that they print for you at a fraction of the cost of printing a book, and you can pass those out to reviewers, to booksellers, etc. And then they plug in the code, and boom, they have digital access to your book. Some authors do this just as a sample. Rather than putting up the whole book for reviewers, they might put up a sample of a book that they want people, here, check out the first chapter. You know, if they're at a book signing or whatever, whoever doesn't buy the book, hand them a card, say, well, just read this first chapter, let me tell me what you think. So that's another play. Some are doing them in bigger ways for events. So classic example, last year, this company on the left, they did a promotion with Penguin Random House, where Penguin Random House had a new book coming out that they really wanted to gather a wide audience for. They had these laminated cards with a free audio download code of the book on each of these cards, and they stuffed them into all the runners' bags who are running in the Boston Marathon. Because what do you do when you're running? You're listening to things on your headphones. So another fun way to outside the box it and get some attention.
And if I can just bring up, in our recent independent magazine, there's an entire article about audiobooks with some best practices and trying to figure out where the screen is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So might consider taking a look at that.
It's a great article, and I tell everybody, look, it becomes a bigger piece of an author's ancillary income every single year. It is another revenue stream, and a bigger percentage of it every year. I like to joke that the worse the traffic becomes around Atlanta and Chicago, the more audiobooks are sold, right? So, but it's true. So walking billboards, and then after the walking billboards, if we want to throw up another poll, if you'd be ready for that, Lee?
I will be standing by with the next poll.
All right. So walking billboards, these are, you know, if you have a cool cover, I've had some authors do them with their awesome covers. I've had some do, you know, custom artwork. Some do slogans, like a cool line from their book. You can create and sell T-shirts, mugs, phone covers, put your book on a phone cover, and use any of this product collateral as a giveaway for your list building purposes. You know, sign up for my list and I'll send you this. Or you can just use them as giveaways and or ancillary sales at your events. So in the picture you see here, this is author Bren McLean, also an Okra Pick author, and she has a book called One Good Mama Bone, very straight up literary fiction, fascinating stuff. We created for her a t-shirt that you'll see has the One Good Mama Bone on the front, and on the back side, a la concert t-shirt style, it lists all her tour stops that she put up before her book tour.
Nice.
She had them available for close friends, but then she also gave them to every bookseller stop that she went to, and created a lot of extra attention for her book that way. Fun, fun. If you go to Cafe Press or what is it, Dazzle, then you'll see that there are ways that you can do that. Now look, you're not going to make a ton of money on this, but again, it's a walking billboard. If you only make 50 cents selling a t-shirt, but somebody's walking around with a picture of your book on their t-shirt, that's a good thing. Yeah. Plus you can make money doing it. And
the poll is open now.
Super. So which book marketing challenge would you most like to be successful at? Ha ha ha. Talking about your own work, doing live book events, engaging on social media, or creating a book marketing strategy and sticking to it. We all have these challenges. These are typically the top 4 that I get. If there's another challenge that you have, obviously we want to hear about that too, so feel free to weigh in on the chat. And then I'm going to kind of move on while they're filling that out, or do you want me to wait, Lee? It's completely up to you.
I had the mute on so people don't hear the phone ringing in the background at the IBPA offices. Sorry about that. Let's move on. The poll is open for 5 minutes, and then I'll announce the results when we get it.
Perfect, 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 perfect. All right. I'm going to submit my own just for fun. Okay. So getting creative with pitches. This is one of my favorite things because, look, the sky's the limit, and I don't have every answer, but typically when we talk to an author, within 5 minutes of hearing more about their book, an answer will emerge because it's so much easier. Looking from the outside in, we tend to get a little bit twisted up in our own underwear when we're thinking about our own work. But lots of times, you know, even talk to a friend, what would they do? You would be amazed at the talks that came up. I originally gave a talk similar to this one at IBPA a couple of years ago in Salt Lake City, and people came up with great ideas all for each other. They were concerned about their own work, but really, so start to brainstorm with friends and fellow writers and fellow publishers. So one of my favorites is author Kim Boykin. She's a North Carolina-based author. She wanted to get the attention of the Pulpwood Queens, who, those of you who don't know, this is an international book club. This Gretel Bird on the left, as well as Kim Boykin, and some of our other authors have been named picks. She picks 1 book a month that she exposes and asks her clubs to read. She has over 700 chapters internationally. Huge influencer in book circles. They're in fact making a movie about her, Kathy Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen. So Kim Boykin had some this Wisdom of Hair book. She really wanted to get out in front of Kathy because she just knew that Kathy, a former hairdresser, would want it for a pick. And so she booked an appointment in her chair when she was doing some hair and got down there that way. Author J.C. Sasser, one of the things that plays into her book are these moonflower vines. that attract these moon moths in the evening and things, a very Southern Gothic fiction that she writes. And so when she was pitching early blurbs, pitching other Southern fiction authors to read the book and say something nice about it, endorse it if they liked it, and in pitching booksellers, she put in not only a copy of the ARC, of the Advanced Reader Copy, but she also put in a packet of moonflower seeds with instructions as to how to use them and why they'd be fun for them. So, and again, nifty, fun, just different kind of things that get you thinking about, get your memory, get that memory in front of whoever you're pitching. So, perfect example, in the case of Kathy Murphy, she was Kathy Patrick then, but Kathy Murphy, in the case of Kathy Murphy, she gets delivered hundreds of books a month, dozens of books every single week. What are you going to do to stand out? That's professional and classy. I mean, you see the joke contestants on American Idol and that kind of stuff. That's not what we're talking about. What's going to make you stand out, not as a buffoon, right, but as somebody that people are really going to take seriously and want to know more about their work and read more about them or flatter them. Look, none of us is above flattery. You are not pitching some machine reviewer out there. You're pitching a human being. Yeah, so they respond to that. Okay. Dress for success. Yeah, so here's one of those things I mentioned earlier, right? Not for everybody. I get that. I would probably be a little adverse to doing it myself, but some people do very well with it. So I have on the right-hand side here, you see an author who she writes mermaid books, the Little Mermaid, a Little Mermaid series, great children's books. And she goes into schools and to book festivals and things dressed as, yes, a mermaid, but it gets tons of attention from the kids. They love that. It's worked very, very well for her. You'll see in a couple of these other photos, one is from an actual bookstore signing, and the other is from the Historical Novel Society conference out in Denver a couple of years ago. They have a whole costume contest with their authors, but they get a lot of readers to these events too. So if you're writing historical fiction, costumes might actually be a part of your thing, depending on what time period you're writing in. If it's just 50 years ago, maybe not so much so, but definitely older times. I'm waiting for the ancient Egyptian one to come out. I want to see somebody come out dressed as Tut. It'd be great. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure we will.
I do have the poll results if we want to hear them.
Hey, yes, perfect.
Okay, so which book marketing challenge would you most like to be better at? So talking about my, so the one that was the highest, creating a book strategy and sticking to it. Then that was 35% of the attendees. Then at 20%, engaging on social media. Talking about my own work was 15%, and doing live book events was 5%. Okay. So, you know, and then a quarter of the people decided not to participate in the poll. But again, that's totally cool because we're all doing what's right for us as we gather information. And there's a lot of really cool information coming at us. But interesting that most people are thinking big picture, like how do I create a book marketing strategy and then stick to it? Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Good to know. So, voice of reason. We're going to go through some of these really quickly because they're kind of obvious, but I have a couple authors that just decided they absolutely hated blogging, but they did like podcasting. They changed their blog into a podcast. And one of them was very, very successful, Patty Willock Hall. What she did is actually put her blog, started inviting other authors that were writing kind of in the same space to her podcast. And then she had a built-in way, purely by accident, she didn't do this to set out with, but when her publisher then told her, go seeking other authors to make blurbs, well, she had a built-in group of people already that she'd done a solid by putting them on her podcast as well. So it was, you know, authors are great at helping each other out. It's one of the beautiful parts of this industry, that authors are very, very keen to help each other. In the case of that Gretel Bird author, she didn't know any of those. I mean, amazing. She knew of their work, but didn't know them personally. They were so willing to help out a fellow Southern author, especially one with good writing. So don't be afraid to go after the big dogs, you know, the biggest writers in your genre. You would be surprised
how many people would be willing to help you out, okay? But in the meantime, yeah, consider the podcast. Look up whatever your genre is. Type that into Google along with podcasts beside it. You would be amazed how many podcasts are out there. If you don't want to start your own, inquire to be a guest. Those people that are doing podcasts, they're always looking for guests. It's just like the blog situation, right? You have to feed that beast, that content beast, and find and provide new content, help them out, and they'll help you out as well. Plus, you always get a link after you do a podcast to that MP3 that you can share with your own audience. All right, hop on the holiday train. This is obvious, but again, people underestimate this. I know that you think people are inundated with holiday sales. I get 17,000 of them this week. I think I've gotten at least a couple hundred, right? Just for Father's Day coming, right? Last chance, Father's Day sale from this store and that store and that store and that store. But look, they pay the big marketers, these big chains, they know what they're doing. Why are they doing this? People respond to holiday marketing. So you can tie into all sorts of holidays, depending on what your book is about, but also, of course, the more traditional ones. But if you've got a ghost in your book, you'd better be doing a Halloween promotion, right? If you've got food in your book, tons of promotions to be had around the holidays. So go to this. I have this fun link here, Holiday Insights, and it'll get you some ideas of different, you can look up by month. This is just an October sample, but it'll give you all those crazy random holidays that you probably haven't thought of too.
I know somebody that she has a children's book in like a middle grade, and it had something to do with bubble gum, and so she actually created a bubble gum holiday through some site. So
yeah, I mean, they make it, you know, official whatever week from the local mayor of every town. There's, you know, official lemonade week, whatever. It's happening all the time everywhere. Figure out how you can make that work for you.
Nice.
All right, hard to get hardcovers. So I don't know how anybody here feels about hardcovers. I know a lot of booksellers do like hardcovers because they provide a bigger margin for them. A lot of booksellers don't like them because they're just selling more paperbacks to their audience. So it's kind of a little bit of a hit and miss. But we had an author writing a vampire series, and what he did is he branded himself a little bit differently. He was signing out of the Horror Association, at BEA. Sorry, I flipped a slide back here. And what he did is created hardcovers. He had regular paperbacks available for sale on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all the traditional outlets, but he made the hardcovers exclusive to bookstores, physical brick and mortar bookstores. And by doing that, he gave them the margin. He gave them an opportunity to have something that the Amazons of the world did not have, which kind of blew their skirts up. And I watched as he was doing this signing, and they were very, very excited about this. And then he also sells out of a lot of kind of outside the box locations too, versus traditional booksellers. He does some of that, and some do carry those hardcovers exclusively. But he also, because he writes about the whole vampire thing and everything, one of his biggest locations is a non-traditional location. It's a voodoo shop in New Orleans that sells probably a few hundred books of his a month in there. So again,
that makes total sense, right?
Yeah, it's a typical non-traditional outlet, but very useful. Tupperware Party. This is one of my favorites. I had an author who's also a radio promoter, promotes some very famous country music stars. And she has written a series of books. She wrote this nonfiction and then a couple of fiction books, but each of her books deal with the topic of organ donation, because she herself, even though she was a hypochondriac, anteed up and volunteered because she was a match, to be an organ donor for her brother-in-law, not even a blood relative. So she was, and it was a successful, or she donated a kidney, and so she wrote about the experience and then subsequently wrote a couple more books. She called me up one day and she said, I was reading some article where they said it's not like you can sell a book like you could do a Tupperware party. And she said, but why couldn't I? And I said, I don't know, why couldn't you? Let's give it a try. So she contacted a friend of hers, and the friend invited 20-something of her friends. And she had a 3-book deal, individual books for sale, and then a 3-book deal, and talked a little bit about the books and a little bit about organ donation. She sold at least 1 book to every single person who came to the party, and the 3-book deal to all but 5 of the people that came to the party. So what a fun thing. So if you've got some friends who would like to do some kind of fun book party and you're willing to go and hang out there and sign books and things, go for it. Whoops. I just lost our slide presentation. There we go. Hang on, guys. I have a temporary lapse in sanity. I got too careless with the buttons. Okay. Whoops. We'll get back there. But yeah, so having a book party, you know, friends, we have another author that has a friend just having a, you know, a launch party for them. Not every launch party has to be at a bookstore. If that isn't appropriate for you and you'd rather do the family and friends thing, by all means, stop there or have a separate party for them.
Or if you live in a voodoo shop, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And you know, the fun thing is most of those friends and family, those more intimate events, they want to buy the expensive hardbacks. They want the special collector's edition that they can have too if it is such. So cause marketing, again, we just talked about the organ donation, but we have a couple other authors that we're working with right now. Wounded Warrior, Wounded Wife. She writes about our hidden heroes, the wounded spouses of wounded warriors. Fascinating book. She donates all the proceeds of her book to help the wives of wounded warriors. We have other authors that just do a portion of their proceeds, like Lee Adams. She does a portion of her proceeds to the Kidney Foundation. Bill Green is another one, this all-in book, business book. He's a very successful entrepreneur, and he wanted to get the word out on this, but because he has family members who suffer from Alzheimer's, he wants all the proceeds of his book to go to the Alzheimer's Foundation. And in doing so, the Alzheimer's Foundation also came out and said nice things about his book and shared that message with their audience. So you have a chance both to share each other's audiences, but also, you know, to be a spokesperson for a local or national charity, to do a lot of that cross-promotion, and really to have a greater purpose for your book. Most books do have some kind of issue at their core, whether it's, you know, defending animals or defending children or whatever. There's typically a charity that you can tie into that's going to make you feel good and also at the same time be good business for your book and for the charity.
I love this one. Thank
you. It's a great one. So themed book launches. Mary Alice Monroe, one of my favorites, she's on this right-hand side here. She always has some sort of animal rights theme in hers, dolphins, sea turtles, you name it. So she did one of her, she contacted the local aquarium, South Carolina Aquarium in Charleston, and said, can I use your facility for a book launch after hours, but people could also come in and see the aquarium. And they made a huge deal of it. There was a line around the block of people wanting to get in for that book launch. Great idea. In the middle, we have Millie West. She uses a particular artist who she adores. She uses a piece of his art for each one of her book covers. So every time she's doing, she always makes sure to do book signings at his galleries, one of her opening events with his galleries. In the case of this Great Old Bird that I know I'm talking a lot about because it's coming out tomorrow and there's so many things going on right now that she's doing outside the box. So she grew up in this tiny little truck stop kind of town called Metter, Georgia. And so she's doing her launch party at a place called the Old Metter Depot, which is an old closed down train station. But they have a really cool facility there, and they've invited the entire town of Metter to that event. Pretty cool. Clever book announcements. This is one of the cutest things I'd ever seen. Started working with an author out of Canada. His name is John Tamala, and the book is called Jackie, and it's sort of part memoir, very kind of nostalgic and sweet. And everyone that he sent the book to, he would send a wrap around that book when it came out, and it said, you'll see the little flyer there, and then how it wrapped around. He just wrapped it with a rubber band, very simple, printed it out on his home printer. And it was a birth announcement. It's a boy. You know, and it said, you know, weighing in at 1.2 pounds, 6 by 9 inches. It was classic. Just classic and clever. And again, but one of those things that when you see it, you're not going to forget it. That book's going to be in front of you. It's going to be memorable. It gets people talking about it. Love it.
It made us laugh.
Right? Exactly. It's just adorable. All right, giveaways. Make sure that you get with these giveaways and make them special too. So you have a lot of Goodreads authors, Amazon authors ordering giveaways, or you can schedule your own. You know, it's free to list a giveaway on Goodreads or Amazon. Some people don't even realize that. It's an automatic, and when people enter that giveaway, especially on Goodreads, then it shows up in their, you know, want to read section, so it gets me more people showing in the want to read section that your book is a want to read choice. When you send it out with something cute and clever, like this particular author did. It's about belly dancing, so she sent a cute, sparkly little thing out with it, and make sure you send it signed and with a very kind letter that says, you know, we would appreciate, very much appreciate your honest review. I have run into a few authors who have said, you know, you've won this book, please give me a 5-star review. Probably the worst thing that you can do, so we mention it here. You know, you want to say give them the honest review. First, give them the benefit of the doubt that they can create their own review without you telling them what to make it. And folks do tend to get resentful if you tell them how to review a book, and then they tend to not write nice things about you. So do keep that in mind, but ask them for that honest review. It's a really good way to get reviews from folks, but you do have to prod them. So the nicer you can make that package when you send it out to them, the more special you can make them feel, the more likely you will get that review from them. And again, there's no cost. The only thing that you're spending is you must send them a physical copy of the book. Yeah. And then our last one, then we're going to do a little poll, another poll, and we'll do a quick few minutes of brainstorming, yeah? So unconventional conventions, just like there's unconventional retail locations to market your book to, don't overlook unconventional conventions. Last year at IBPA, Kwame Dawes was a keynote speaker there. He actually spoke about how he does farmers markets. He did one kind of as just a fun thing, and he's
Kwame Alexander, actually, right?
Yeah, Kwame. Yeah, sorry, Kwame Alexander, and did them up and down the East Coast. Up and down the East Coast, and you know, a farmer's market costs maybe $10, $15, as much as $20 to sit in that booth all day, but especially in tourist markets, people go to the local farmer's market to check out the local stuff, and maybe they don't want to bring home a candle, and they have to get on a plane, so they're not going to buy any fruit, but a book is a great takeaway for them to take from the market. So a lot of fun, very, very useful. He said he sold more farmer's markets than any of the book signings that he did, which is kind of interesting. And Publishers Weekly, I just found recently an article that they did about this topic, selling at farmers markets, so we've got a link to that there.
And remember, everyone will get a copy of the slide deck, so you don't have to be frantically writing down the URL. You'll all get it.
They'll get it. And then, so another author, Lynn Marie, she did a Pirates and Tall Ships conference because she had a book about pirates. Sold a lot of books that way. Obviously, people are going to go see the ships. I can't take one home with them, but what a great memento of their day at this particular fair. One of my favorites, Mackenzie Long, and I have another Southern author now, or Western fiction author now doing this out towards the West. He's based in Las Vegas, doing gun shows, selling their books at gun shows. Mike Long, Mackenzie Long, was already going to a lot of gun shows with his collection. He started bringing some of his books. He sells more books at gun shows than anything else, and most often to women, because the women are walking around, they don't want to buy a gun, but they want to do something while they're there, so they buy one of his books. So.
Fascinating. So the poll is open, our final poll. It's asking, what's the craziest thing you've done to promote a book? So this is
up in my next presentation, the next 20 things, yeah? So we're not crazy.
And then we're going to go into our brainstorm soon here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're ready. We're going to take a few minutes to chat and brainstorm. And look, you know, I'm sure that Lee can always set up a Twitter chat later afterwards, or I can as well if you want to continue this conversation, or feel free to tweet to me or to email me, Shari, S-H-A-R-I, at writerswin.com. Happy to talk more about any of these things with anybody. We love book promotion, and the more fun and interesting they are, honestly, the better it is for you as an author, but also the better it is for the industry. We need more people creating excitement around books, and that's going to start with you guys.
That's great. So for the brainstorm, for attendees, go to the right-hand side of your screen, the WebEx screen, there's a chat function, and you just set it to all all participants, and that way everyone will see. So I'll be like, hi, let's start the brainstorm, and hopefully everybody can see that. What just happened? Oh my gosh, I think it just crashed. No? No, I think we're good. Technical moment there. Sorry about that, everybody. Shari.
They'll get the free. I've got some free goodies to send to folks too. So if they want to email me for those, I'll make sure and get those your way too. We have a social media savvy cheat sheet, and we have an author strategy sheet and some other goodies.
So we have one question. Do you think purchasing B2B leads lists and sending emails is a good idea?
No. I think sending emails is a great idea if you're creating them organically. So when you're at a book signing or an event, make sure you always have a list with you. You know, please give me your email. I'd love to put you on my list or deliver you my latest news or updates, however you do that. Also ask on that list, do you belong to a book club? You would be surprised how many book club leads you get out of doing things like that. I have not found B2B. I guess it depends on your genre. If you're only marketing your book to other businesses, it could be possible, but I have not found a lead list that hasn't proved ineffective at best and expensive and time-sucking at worst to any author who's tried it.
So it's sort of about having more personal connections and people that have opted in rather than people who are on lists.
Yeah, and you know, if you want to make some paid plays, you know, through Google AdWords or boosting your posts on Facebook, that kind of thing, absolutely give it a shot. You can more directly see those insights right away and see the responses that you're going to get, and it typically costs less. I find that unless you really have cultivated that email lead, you're going to get punched out as spam too quickly.
I also, sorry, I'm multitasking and not doing a great job of it.
There's no such thing. Nobody can multitask effectively. I'm finally learning that. It took me 50 years, but
I'm proof of that. We have one question. Can you suggest any content curation that would work for books of fiction, such as a children's book about a bird that learns to play golf? Content curation.
Yeah, so in terms of curating other content, the first thing that we have folks do is get yourself up on Google Alerts. Go to google.com/alerts. List, of course, you know, set an alert for your own book in your own name, but then set some of those keywords. So, you know, you can look up children's books about birds. You can look up children's book about sports and start sharing some of those different things, and then connecting with other people that write about children's book about animals, children's books about sports and things. That's kind of where I'd start with that, is with Google Alerts, because you would be surprised the results that you get back in real time, and then also delivered to your email box to let you drill down and find those people. And then set those two as keywords in your other social media searches. You know, look up the different, if you go to, you can look up children's book, you know, children's book reviewers on Twitter and find out who's tweeting in real time about children's books or who's reviewing children's books. That will also help.
We have some fun answers from the poll. Somebody set up a model of the 1947 Freedom Train that blew smoke and could make the train horn sounds, as their children's book is about the train.
Oh, I love that.
Someone write that.
Something, may I interject? Yep, and just, is that something that they can bring to stores and different events? That's something that can travel with them everywhere? I'm guessing it is. So I want to make sure that that person, that author or publisher is taking plenty of photos and video of that happening when they're doing a signing or when that train comes in, so that they can put that video up on YouTube and also share it on their social media. That's fun. I love it.
So we're nearing the end of our official hour, but Shari, would you be able to hang out for 5 or 10 more minutes?
I'm happy to hang out. Yep.
And then I will announce, when we're done, I will announce the winners of our 3 winners. And but this is so good that it may not be on the official recording, but for those of us that are here in person, I think this is really invaluable.
Great.
So one of the comments is that regarding the content curation question is to team up with educators on TPT, Teachers Pay Teachers. So that's a neat tip.
Teachers
and then,
oh, I did not know about that one. Thank you.
We're all learning today. Thank you, Maria, for that. And
we all learn from each other. Absolutely. I love it.
Another answer, the craziest thing you've done to promote a book. We gave away tickets to Disney World for one family to the person who posted a picture of the book on social media. And this is clever. The furthest, the book was called Spaghetti and a Hot Dog Bun, and it was the winner was for the person who posted the picture of the book the furthest from their address, from the P.O. box. And the winner posted in front of the Sydney Opera House.
Oh my God! Oh, that's great.
They got them postings in front of the Eiffel Tower, the Vatican, and so much more. What a great idea!
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that one.
This brings up an idea for me too. Would you make sure and share all these answers with me afterwards? Because I would very much like to talk about these authors in an upcoming blog, and of course get them some attention too. You know, we'll have links back to their sites as well.
Absolutely.
It's a really fun article. I love this.
Oh, that's so fun. And then one more was that they write and perform music to go with their children's books and perform in stores. It's a little crazy and the kids love it. So fun things. We had a few more comments on our chat box. Oh, and their P.O. box for the Disney trip for the family, they were in Michigan. So yeah, getting someone in front of the Sydney Opera House and the Eiffel Tower, that's very impressive. And we also had a question. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I have to share. Maria, may I share that comment you just put in? I'll wait for a response from you. And Ken, I just shared the end. Oh, okay. Maria writes that they had a cardinal from the Vatican retweet the picture. How awesome is that? If you have to leave, please go ahead. I will contact you by email if you're one of our winners. We have one more question, and then I think we should get to wrapping it up. The question is, what about partners like Ingram?
So in terms of, I mean, I have a lot of partners. I don't know that it's an outside. I mean, sometimes they'll do. I know Ingram at Book Expo did show off. Ingram Spark showed off a lot of their different books at their booth. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by partner, but I'm happy to chat with you about that too. So
wonderful. Well, I think that we're doing pretty great here. Shari, I think your slides dropped out at the end.
Good.
But we will be sending everyone a copy of the slides. And wait a minute, I said that I was going to announce the winners, and I haven't done that yet. But I have to, let me, one moment, let me call up the random number generator.
I love that.
Well, I have to be impartial, right? I am Switzerland.
I feel like I'm on an episode of Bozo Bucket.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds
I know. See, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so our first winner is Our first winner is Christy Duarte.
Hey.
Our second winner is Marty Gorman.
Okay.
And then our, hold on, I had a different number of respondents on that one. And then our third winner is, hold on one second, I need to make sure I don't have two.
That's a really long name.
I don't have, well, I didn't want to make sure I didn't have two Peters because I didn't write it down. Peter Trimarco. So Chris Duarte, Marty Gorman, and Peter Trimarco, congratulations. You've each won a 1-hour consult one-on-one with Shari. Shari, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And look for an email in the next couple of days so you can take even more notes. And from everyone at IBPA, thank you for being part of our webinar. Bye, Shari.
Bye-bye. Have a great day, everybody.